Called at today's meeting. We'll start off with a roll call. Joyce. Roll call from Joyce, please.
Dave Talley.
Here.
Leandre Camel. Here. Alyssa Dobbin. Here. Michael Dixon. Okay. Mark Bymaster. Here. Kathleen Weigel. Tammy McDonald. We have quorum.
Now we'll start off with introductions. We'll go down to the far end and have you introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, Patricia Morales from the Office of General Counsel.
Welcome, Patricia.
Frank Barbieri, School Board.
Heather Frederick, Chief Financial Officer.
Alyssa Dobbin, Audit Committee.
Bob Bliss, Office of Inspector General.
Oscar Restrepo, Office of Inspector General.
Randy Lowe, Office of Inspector General.
Dave Talley, Audit Committee.
Teresa Michael, Inspector General.
Carrie High, Counsel to Inspector General.
Joyce Edison, Inspector General.
Tracy Shear, Inspector General.
Leandre Camel, Audit Committee.
Mark Bymaster, Audit Committee.
Chantel Knowles, RSM.
Great. Welcome. It's nice to have you all here. Now, if you'll just take a second and look at the agenda, and if you accept it, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Pass 4-0. Next, take a minute and review the minutes of the September 13th meeting, and after you've had a chance to review those, I'll accept a motion to approve.
For the record, I'd like to recognize that Mr. Dixon has just arrived.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Excuse me, on the minutes, when I looked at them, was I here at that meeting? That September 11th
What does
meeting?
it
It says
say?
I'm absent, but then I made a motion to approve the minutes. So I'm just questioning for clarity, that's all. The September 13th minutes, right? Okay, I made a motion to approve them, but I don't think I was here. I wasn't here. Just for the record, that's all.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and take a look at that. We'll bring the minutes back
Maybe
again.
I was here, I don't recall.
Did you appear virtually?
I could have. But it says I'm absent, so it should have said did. Either way, there's something wrong.
Right, we'll bring those back. We'll double check.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be kind of confusing.
Okay, with that exception, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Sorry.
Well, should we table those minutes?
Yeah, we could table those and bring it back at the next meeting. We'll make a correction and bring it back. That'd be easier, probably.
All right, we'll do that. Okay, public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the IG update. Terry?
All right, good morning, everybody. You have on your table here our annual report, and I want to thank the Audit Committee and all of the members here for the support. It would not be possible for us to do this work without your support. And, you know, as part of my doing proactive elements, I take a look and I watch other audit committees in other districts. And I'm telling you, I am so grateful for you guys. I really am. The professionalism, the engagement, the questions, the input is vitally important to us. And I'm very proud of the work that my staff has done. They're the ones that really do the work to it. You know, I just kind of put the report together and put some pictures in there, but they're the ones that put the hard work in there. And really appreciate everything that everybody has done. I'm very proud of the numbers that we put together. I'm very proud of the impact that we're having. And we're getting ready next year in March and April. It's I would almost say it's like a organizational colonoscopy. Is the nicest way to put it. I have my evaluation is done, and then we also have the AIG, Association of Inspector General, peer review that is done, and the Commission for Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation that is also done at that time. So we're gearing up for that, and it all happens within about a 2-month period. So I'm very proud, again, of everything that we've accomplished, that we've built on since my arrival, and we've, added some new people to our office, both in audit and investigations, and we're just trying to find a better way and to have more of a positive impact. As I said, we always want to identify issues before they become problems, and that's kind of hard to codify and put in an annual report. Those times when we have cut something off before it hit the newspaper. We were identifying issues before something went crazy. And that's really what an IG should be doing. I say to people, I can point out where the landmines are and tell you where they are, or I can report on the carnage after you step on it. And a lot of IGs just report on the carnage, but by that time, we've already lost the money. We've already lost the work and effort. So I'm really proud that we are taking more of a proactive stance, and I want to thank you for the support. And with that, move on to the annual work plan. This year we have the annual work plan presented, and as you take a look, please note that we have 3 new auditors in our office, and that although they're doing a wonderful job, it has an impact on the training. It takes a while to get up to speed. So with those 3 new auditors, we also have 3 staff that are working with those auditors. We also lost Susie Kay, who was been here since they invented auditing. So, and Nicole has done an amazing job. I think she sleeps in her office. I have to double check because her light's always on. And she's done an amazing job stepping in, but we're rebuilding. But we want to make sure that we have the coverage. So some of the, it may look like as though some of the projects have been lessened, but we really are doing the same coverage. We just want to make sure we have the flexibility to move where we need to move.
Could you talk about your 3 new auditors and their experience? Briefly.
Yes. Randy, would you like to?
Yes, the 3 new auditors, one is just a fresh grad from college for 1 year, and with the prior audit experience, so we have to provide a lot of trainings to this person. Another one has been a bookkeeper for a couple of years, and the training can be, a little bit less in terms of doing the internal funds audit. The third new auditor, he was teachers before. So we hired as teachers because we also do a lot of school-related audits, and then the experience will be helpful when dealing with, the school, activities. So these are the 3 persons. All of them, they did not have a prior real audit experience. They do have, a business background. So we are now providing a lot of trainings to them, like Teresa said. We have 3 senior auditors mentoring them, so it takes up a lot of times for the senior auditors in terms of doing their own work. So they are doubling up to do a school audit right now. After we are done with the audit, we plan to also start assigning other performance audit to them, of course, under the mentor of our senior auditors. That is our plan in the future.
There is when I've spoken to the other IGs across the state, Florida, having a very hard time getting auditors. A lot of auditors are staying in the private sector. The pay is wonderful there. And apparently, Ms. Fredericks has a tendency to snag auditors from the Auditor General before we can even get close to them. And, I don't know how she quite does that all the time, but she's been very conveniently doing that. But they will be going to the AIG accreditation. They will become certified through the Association of Inspector General Auditors. That will be happening usually in February, if I'm correct, yeah, February in Jacksonville. So they will be going there to get their training. And then we've also did some supplemental training for them as well to try to get them up to speed and comfortable. But it takes time. All right, do we have any other questions? I'll go through the,
Mr. Chairman? Perhaps the auditor should investigate the CFO to see if she's engaging in unfair recruiting practices.
you know, we have looked at that on the plan. I didn't want to exactly put that out there, but I'm trying to get new office furniture, so. You know, that independence thing is sometimes a fine line. It is. You know, as we're moving forward, one of the issues that we're going to have to look into is expanding the office. We have not added positions except for the analyst, the intake positions over on the investigative side. But we really do. The 178 schools going out there, that's vital. We get so much information from those schools when they go out and do those audits that, you know, it cannot be codified or you know, really put into numbers and analytics. The staff, when they're out there, are making contacts, they're finding out new information, and a lot of times that leads to investigations. It also, we have it where while they're out there, it's putting people on notice that we are looking. The CFO's office and finance has done an amazing job of referring issues to us as well. But I really need to think about adding some more auditors. And my thought is that, you know, we reach out to the local universities and try to see if we can.
Do you ever think about going to the Florida Institute? Because as a member of the Florida Institute of CPAs, they're often coming out looking for places for these kids to, coming out of school or passing their licensing, looking for jobs. There's a big disconnect here. I don't know how you do your recruiting, but universities are great, but I mean, the FICPA has some experienced people that are looking for jobs. So you might want to think about that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I don't know if I know that we've reached out to like the IIA and but we could do the CPA. That's an excellent.
Young people looking for jobs with good education.
Yes, I mean, I'd love to have a CPA on staff. That,
sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you.
I'm sorry for keep interrupting, but the General Counsel's Office has an internship program, and they're able to find great new attorneys by that way. So the IG's office might want to start some type of internship program where you get these young graduates that'll stay with you. Like, is that how we got Mr. High?
I've actually spoken to Mr. High. As some of you know, Mr. High came from Palm Beach State College, and he does still instruct there. So I have voluntold him, I think is the word, that he would be perfect to work with people coming right out of college because he's more familiar with the higher educational system. I went to college when it was, you know, stone and, you know, chisels and not computers, so.
Well, I wouldn't use him as an example because you could have done better, I think.
Well, I've never done well in the hiring process. I got to admit that. But yes, that we do need to look at that, and Mr. High's already, I believe, started looking. Mm-hmm. All right, so to move on to the projects, we have several projects that are ongoing, and we have continued those on through, we have the IT disaster, procurement, inventory controls of fuel, and I'm not going to read them all to you all. We also have compliance and contract oversight, and that we definitely need to add some more staff there. Procurement and contracting is something that is definitely where we can recoup money for the district. And I think there's been times, because they are so overloaded when they're going through some of the construction contracts and paying invoices, they don't always have the time and the availability to get down to the level that some of our staff can do. And Ms. Frederick, did you all hire a company that?
We are working on that right now. We were hoping to piggyback off of a contract out of Broward County Schools, and that's with Carr Riggs Ingram, and that is something that they do is they, and RSM is probably familiar with these services as well, but they actually audit the construction contracts, and so it's holding the contractors accountable. But Broward is going through a lot of turnover, and so there's been some delay in getting that new contract approved. So as soon as that's approved, we will be able to implement that here in Palm Beach County. And it's not taking away from what the Inspector General is doing. It's really, it's supplemental, and it's adding on to our staff so that we can add, just a level of review, like you said, and expertise that we don't necessarily have.
Yes. And that's one of the things I've been monitoring throughout the Florida. The RFP and RFQ process through purchasing, it's so nuanced in so many different areas, and construction especially, and you have special contracts and you have special services, and there's piggyback contracts, and we really need to make sure that there is no conflict of interest, that the code of silence is being maintained and that the bidding documents and the contract are being held on the invoices. And recently we were looking at an issue, and the unit that was in charge of this contract didn't even have a copy of the contract. So, that's something that we need to take a closer look at. And we need to really, put some more resources there. So my hope is, once we get through the accreditation, we could look at the budgeting process. I can go to Mr. Burke and finance there. I think we're getting ready to. I just saw a reminder that we may have to expand our office, especially in the contract and procurement area. I really think that we'll add a tremendous amount of value there.
Question. The expansion is going to take place, being proposed for 24, 25?
25, 26.
26, okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
One of the issues that we have, and this may sound, we don't have any space. We don't have a conference room. I have no more room for staff. I'm sure some staff would be more than willing to work from home all the time, but that doesn't work. And I don't want to move our office out of the third floor. The state IG system has a way of taking their IGs and putting them away in a corner. And what that does is that isolates them and cuts them off. And they end up like a mushroom, thrown in the dark, and throw some you-know-what on top of them. And I don't want that to happen with us. So we've got to work on expanding our office space so that I can house people. And there's a huge issue here at the district with office space alone. Is there any questions on the proposed plan?
How does this compare with last year's plan, with percentages being allocated to each group?
We had a decrease.
Where, in what area?
Well, the percentage is about the same. We didn't make much of change to the internal funds, percentage, because this year we increase the number of schools increased by 2, So that's not much of change in terms of percentage. It's about 22%. I mean, 21%. Resources are, allocated for the school internal funds audit. And then the rest, will be the performance and the special review. So basically, we are using about the same or allocate the same percentage of people doing the same type of works. And then like we mentioned before, because of the upcoming peer review and also the new auditors together, so we planned a little bit less number of a new performance audit this year because of the limited resources available to do the performance audit. So that's the only difference compared to last year.
Your question, I have a question on special request. I can recall, and it's not exact, but I can recall several meetings in the last 12 months where we had issues that we said had to go into a special review process going back, right? Certain things, we said, okay, go work on this. Are they included in the special request?
That's
Just
correct.
for information.
That's
Is that where
correct.
they are?
And then,
Okay.
actually, we are working on two, special, the special request means is actually requested by principals or administrations.
Or by
Or
us,
is-
or by us.
Right,
Or by
or
us.
something arising from our audits or investigation side.
Okay.
So basically, we have two ongoing special review going on now. But I'm not going to get into the detail yet because there's a lot of things that are going on.
No, I'm just generally asking where they are.
Yes, and we also still have the follow-ups. So we are still monitoring any outstanding findings that have not been closed. And that's ongoing, and that's Mr. Bliss's section. And that is extremely important. It does no good if we have a finding and then we don't follow up to make sure it's been corrected. So,
Mr. Barbieri.
Ms. Michael, is it standard operating policy for your auditors to check the doors in all the schools when you're out there?
yes. Yes, in all of our functions, anytime they go out, they're supposed to take a look. And when I do get noticed or get a picture sometimes of an issue I saw this. So they will keep an eye out if there's not a single point of entry, if there's a door unlocked, if there's some type of concern. So every staff has been put on notice to keep an eye out, and that's always in the forefront.
Is there a way you can make that information available to the school board? Obviously, you can't mention the school or the teacher or the principal's name, but I think the board needs to know. We don't know unless we ask questions about the doors being unlocked. I think you need to make sure the board, you have the opportunity at board meetings to give a report. I think that's important, that you should say your auditors were out at several schools and found doors unlocked, especially the ones where people have intentionally blocked the lock so that the door won't lock, which we're still getting reports on those. So if you guys could do that so the board understands that we still have an ongoing problem with making sure our doors are locked, especially with the new state requirement that those have to be reported to the state of Florida when they're found.
Yes, we're still continuing the unannounced inspections, and those are mainly done by the investigation staff. Those are ongoing. This year, we were able to do, I was able to do a risk analysis. Because we have CARES where we have complaints, we're now the centralized reporting, so I was able to look at all of the CARES complaints, and I looked at anything that was safety and security related. We looked at previous inspections. We looked at any media attention, anything that the media, we had the one incident at an elementary school. So that was all factored in, and we went through and did a risk analysis, and we picked the schools. So they're now being done not as like a sampling, but based on a risk assessment. And we are working through that, and right now, Mr. Restrepo's staff have the top 20. I think 2 have been done. They were excellent, and they're working through those as we go. And I will let the board know all the findings. For those reports, when we do the on-site inspections, especially now because these have to be reported to the state, what happens is the auditors, the investigators go out, they do the unannounced inspection. They usually do it with an assistant principal or maybe the SRO goes with them. Before they leave, they notify and give the information of what they found to administration so they can immediately take care of the problem. They take pictures, everything is witnessed, they come back, and within 2 days, they have to have that report to me. And then I immediately give it to the chief of police, the superintendent, the deputy chief, and if there's a maintenance or structural or some type of an operation, you know, a gate is broken, it also goes to Mr. Sanchez, who's our operations. And if there is where we find a door unlocked with kids are in the classroom, we also send it to HR so they can start the corrective action process.
Can I ask a very basic question after all these years on this audit committee? When you have these 177 internal funds you visit, and then you have these inspections which are not announced, so they're different. So sometimes you get 2 times at the same school. Does the auditor who goes there have a written program? Do they have a written program that they check the box?
For the
that they check
inspection?
this? Yeah, for the inspection.
For the inspection, the ones that the auditors are doing, they're just doing observations. So if they see a door unlocked.
My question is there a written
There is a
program?
there is for the
And
inspections.
to follow?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes, it's a very detailed.
Okay, yeah, I would have thought so. That's what
Yes.
I'm asking. Thanks. I just didn't know. Thank you.
I did one question here, Leandre. In your draft work plan, I know you were speaking earlier about staffing needs. How is it displayed as you build into 25 and 26 for the expansion? How is it displayed here in 24, 25, where the staff is needed and an expansion will be needed in 25, 26? Or from a staffing perspective, building up to the needs? Because here you're operating and reading the report, we're getting the work done. So how do we build into going from this point forward?
Typically, when you're doing your work plan, you don't try to set your work plan that you can't meet. But with the ongoing projects and the expansions that we have going on, I think I can justify when I do the budget proposal to the CFO and the superintendent and the board. And Ms. Fredericks, hopefully she's nodding her head later on, that we do add value. And that's the main thing. And, if we don't add value, there isn't a positive impact. If we're just telling you what you did wrong 2 years ago, or I just keep saying policies aren't sufficient, anybody can do that, So the budget proposal is going to be where I'm going to have to justify those hours and those needs.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the work plan?
Need to be approved?
Okay, if there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the draft annual work plan.
Leandre makes a motion to approve the annual work plan.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, Terry?
Okay, we have some, for your information, the internal funds, update on the progress that we have going on right now. Again, I have spoken to the superintendent. We have seen a little bit more findings than we have in previous years. I don't know why yet. We're still trying to figure out if there's a cause or a reason for that. It could be because we have new auditors looking. It could be as simple as that. It could also be that there could be one issue that is affecting numerous schools. For instance, I know that we've had an issue where the safety trip to Washington, a lot of the schools have not had the documentation and the paperwork that they were supposed to have, and it's pretty consistent over and over again. So there may be some hang-up where somebody in the district has all the paperwork, It could be simple as that. And they have not returned it back to the schools. But we are tracking that. They are making good progress. And we're going to be hopefully on time with the internal funds this year again.
Okay. Next is item 7, compliance and quality assurance. Who's going to cover that?
All right. This, Mr. Bliss?
Good morning. This is mostly here as an FYI. Really quickly, the first item is our quarterly report that summarizes our procurement-related activities. We attended the 3 monthly construction oversight and review committee meetings, the quarterly independent sales surtax oversight committee meeting, 3 contract evaluation committee meetings, and 1 contract negotiation meeting. And those contract-related meetings had an approximate value of $3.9 million. This month, I think is one of the few times we didn't have any potential issues or concerns that we observed during these meetings, which is good news. And that's all I have to say on this report, unless there's any questions.
I have a question. This is for the quarter, right? Quarterly period?
Correct.
And in this report is new procurements that come to you or meetings about procurements? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I noticed that the Roosevelt High School, there's a lot of activity over there. How come that's not mentioned in this quarter? What am I missing?
You're not missing anything. We are informed of all procurement-related meetings. The purchasing department lets us know ahead of time, and based on our schedules and the risk associated with the meetings, we decide whether we're going to attend them or not.
Oh, I see. So they're going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of meetings going on. We try to attend.
I would think there's a lot of going on over there.
We try to attend the higher dollar ones, for example, construction ones.
And where are who's running that?
Who's running what?
Who's running the Roosevelt project at the school level? Anyone? Or is it,
Well, it would be
how's that work?
the facilities department.
The facilities department, okay. And how often, I'm just, because I noticed what's going on there. I think it's great what's going on there. But I don't hear any mention of it, and I was just wondering why we don't see anything about it. That's all.
Staffing. Staffing.
Staffing.
Yeah, we need, right now, we have 1 person that monitors those, so we need more staffing for the procurement and contract oversight.
1 person,
Right.
oversight of the facilities, construction that's
For,
going on?
yeah,
Is that-
from our staff that are going over there and monitoring, right.
That interfaces with facilities. And who does facilities report to? You?
Facilities reports to the chief operating officer.
Okay.
Construction procurement reports to me. So the procurement piece falls under finance, and the actual building of the facilities, which is what I thought the direction you were going falls under facilities.
Well, I don't know what direction I'm going in, Heather, but I was just inquiring about, because there's so much activity. And when I saw this for the quarter, I'm thinking, why there's no mention of what's going on there?
Well, I
So
would
you're
say
just not attending the meetings.
I would
got
say
it.
probably a lot of it took place beforehand, because especially with construction, I mean, there's a long lead time, so it's hiring the architect, and then from there, the contractor. So all of that took place many months ago, not during this quarter when the work was,
But
as
the
the work is
construction's
progressing.
going on during this quarter, though.
Construction is going on during this quarter, but the actual procurement process took place months ago.
Okay, I was just asking, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very long process. When you're putting out a bid, it can take up to 9 months to go through that process from start to finish. So it's a very long, complex process. And then,
Just inquiring.
and then all the purchase orders go to the board for approval. And then there's also an oversight committee, the construction oversight committee.
Oh.
And they are very involved, and they review every single
Okay.
board agenda item before it's presented to the board. They are thousands of pages long of what that committee reviews, and it's a committee of experts. So they have representatives that are architects, engineers, and they are not allowed to be vendors of the district to ensure that we have true independence. And I believe, Mr. Barbieri, you're the representative on the core committee. They are very involved in reviewing each of those agenda
They're in
items.
facilities? They're under the facilities?
They're an independent advisory committee, just like the audit committee. So
Okay.
it's a committee of experts that are not district employees, and they are also not allowed to be vendors of the district either.
Okay, I didn't know
That's
that
the
either.
CORC
Thank
that you
for
see,
sharing.
Yes.
CORC, that's the Construction Oversight Review Committee. That's what that acronym is.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
They review every agenda item, construction agenda, purchasing item before it's presented to the board.
Each school board member appoints two, so there's a 14-member committee. Each of us get to appoint two people to that, and they have specific slots that they need to fit into, so we don't have too many of
Right,
one.
architects, too many architects or
Yeah.
something, yeah, I got it. Thank you. Thanks for the clarity.
Okay, Bob, move on.
Okay, the next item on your agenda, it summarizes the recommendations that were made in prior audit reports that have not been fully implemented after 6 months. This quarterly report shows there are only four recommendations that are in the process of being implemented from our previous reports. There's a brief description of each recommendation, along with its status and expected completion date. And some of these have been on here for a while, so you're probably familiar with these. But staff is making progress and plans on implementing them.
And I have to say that this is a huge improvement from previous on the follow-ups. They're actually getting things closed. I think for a while there, I think we had like 9 follow-ups that were continually. So the district has done an amazing job of getting these things finally rectified.
Yeah, this time last year, there were 11 items outstanding on this report.
That's progress.
Correct.
Okay, anything else, Bob?
Oh, that's all.
Okay. Next, we'll go to FYI investigations. This was previously sent to you by Joyce. So we'll move on then to general comments. Terry?
As many of you know, this is going to be the last audit committee meeting for Mr. Frank Barbieri, who is the representative and has been so supportive of both the audit committee and the Office of Inspector General. And I can't tell you how fortunate I am as an IG to have bosses that I actually respect, that have the integrity and have the strength of their courage to stand up and to have an IG that's looking internally all the time. Not everybody is, willing to have somebody that's going to criticize them and could publicly, cause issues for them, all in the hopes of having some type of positive movement. And this board, and Mr. Barbieri in particular, has done that. When I first started looking at coming over here, I thought, oh, wow, education, this is going to be fantastic. It's uplifting. It's Dr. Seuss. It's going to be amazing. And I came over and walked into COVID and CRT and a mission statement and everything. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go back to the Department of Corrections. Those people are happy over there in the prisons. And there's been a couple of times where I thought for sure that I was going to, I'm like, you know what, I got 30 some odd years in. I really, I think I'm going to leave. And Mr. Barbieri talked me off the ledge a couple of times, and it's a good thing that the windows don't open in our office. So I really appreciate the strength, the courage. You may not have always liked the news that I gave you, but you didn't typically shoot the messenger. And so I appreciate that so very much. And Barbara McQuinn is also leaving. And Ms. McQuinn has been an amazing resource as well. There's been numerous times where I've called her and, said, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, no, when you're calling, it's never good news. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. And Ms. Ayala has been a strong silent force. She doesn't speak much, but when she does, she has an impact. And especially for Mr. Barbieri from the office, we'd like to present you with a little token of appreciation. Well, it's a big token. Apparently, I don't read measurements when I'm ordering things online. Could explain why my couch is so big at home. What this states is, Frank A. Barbieri, Jr., Esquire, for your dedication and service to fighting fraud, waste, and abuse within the School District of Palm Beach County, 2008-2024. And it has the chairman mallet, because you always will be the chairman.
Frank, I personally, and on behalf of the Audit Committee, want to thank you for your years of being here and giving us your guidance and the connection with the school board itself. You're going to be missed up there, but you've left your mark, and we thank you so much for all your dedication. Really appreciate it.
Well, I can't tell you how sad I am about leaving. I really, would love to have stayed longer on the board, but, my next birthday I'll be 75, and my wife, if we wouldn't have had the COVID years, probably she'd have a different attitude, but it was, extremely taxing on my wife and my family serving as chair during those years when the nastiness and the emails and the death threats. And so, she said, let's get out before another one of those happened. So she told me I could run again, but I'd be running as a divorced man living out of my truck. So after 53 years of marriage, I decided that I really don't want to sleep in my truck. But I can't tell you how valuable I think you all are to the district. I mean, I've served as the representative from the board to this audit committee, I think, since 2010, when I first became chair, and so I said, I'm picking audit, that's what I want. So, and back then, we didn't have an inspector general, but, we made Lung Chu our inspector general, and then, and I had to fight to get the inspector general position because the board members at that point wanted to bring in outside people, and I said, no, we need our own here that understands education and what we need here for the kids. But this audit committee, people ask me, how do we make sure that there's no waste in the district? And I said, we have a great audit committee and a great audit staff and a great inspector general. And I've always assured them, if you vote for the tax increase or you support the district, you're not wasting your money because there's a ton of very qualified people, especially on the audit committee, who watch how every dollar is spent. So I can't thank you enough on behalf of the board for all your years of supporting not just me, but the board in making sure that every dollar we spent was spent wisely. And I'm going to miss all of you tremendously. When I walked into the building this morning and thought, this is my last audit, there's been a lot of lasts for me in the last couple of weeks. The retirement party that the superintendent had for the 3 board members that are leaving at the district, and and then my wife had a retirement party for me the other night with district staff, and and it's like everything just keeps reminding me that I'm leaving, and it's still kind of it's just kind of, when I walk in that door, I think, how many more times am I going to walk in that door? It's just, it's like part of. Anyway, thank you.
You'll always be Mr. Chairman. Always. Okay, are there any comments?
Could I just take a point of, through the chair? This is a tough act to follow, but I'm going to be a little bit silly because I can. Some people in the office may know, certainly the IG knows, and Joyce knows. A couple years ago, I managed to get myself hurt and ended up in the hospital with a condition that was a result of overexertion and me trying to engage in high-intensity interval training without the appropriate jazzercise. Okay. And I ended up with this condition called rhabdomyolysis, and I ended up in the hospital, and it was whatever. It wasn't very good. Well, within a few months of that, I ended up hurting my knee and had to have surgery done on my knee, and some would say that maybe that was just hitting, middle age, getting to that big 4-0. But Mr. Barbieri, he kind of saw it as something different. I think there was some wisdom to that. He said, "I just think you're wimpy." And from that point, that sort of became this very loving nickname. And he said, "There's a whole series of books I've heard about that are about you, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I have two little boys, for those that don't know. One's in middle school, and the other's he's in third grade right now, sixth grader and a third grader. And they've read the books and are currently reading the books, and we have the whole library. And so anyway, this nickname has continued, and I have continued to find myself in these predicaments where I end up getting hurt or causing some type of self-harm that we'll just chalk up to me being wimpy. What Frank didn't know at the time, though, and I say Frank because I think this is an important coincidence, is the character in these books, he's really kind of, he's not the best character, right? He does a lot of things that cause trouble for himself. And I asked my kids if they could get me a copy of one of their favorite volumes of the book. And so this one is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw. And it's the third in, I think, a series of like 20-something plus books. But in this one, the titular character, Greg Heffley, he tries to convince his father, who coincidentally is named Frank, that he can toughen up and be tough, but he ends up in a series of misadventures. And I'm reading a summary here. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it includes him joining the Boy Scouts, but not being able to go in the camp out because he gets sick. He ends up having to do a camping do-over where he takes along his father and his friend, but the big brother causes trouble. He tries to save his father from embarrassment, but ends up making it worse. And he ends up putting $20 in the collection plate at the end of the story. But what I want to tell Frank is, from this wimpy kid who also happens to be a lawyer when I get enough sleep and and do what I need to do, I hope you understand I've really valued the time that you and I have spent together talking about things, the projects that I've been able to work on, that I know when we deliver them to you, they are taken not only seriously, but they are then put into action. And that means so much as somebody who is committed to the mission of this office. And even though I may be a little bit wimpy, just a little bit, you've helped me to kind of push through and be, I know, a stronger person, not only as a practitioner, but also as a dad, and I think as a better person, having gotten to know you over these past few years. And I personally will miss you a whole lot. So thank you, Mr. Barbie. Here's your book.
Mr. Chair, if I could,
Yes.
one other,
Mr.
I just
Chairman.
want to, thank you, Wimpy. I want to thank Bob Bliss. Bob and I, from day one, well, he wasn't here day one, but thank God he came back from the county. We went through a period of time when I first got here that the change order, I mean, things were like totally out of control. CFO knows, but she couldn't do much about it. But in working with Bob, I was able to get the district to change all of the policies on change orders and all of those things. Bob was my go-to guy in the office every time there was a contract. I'd go see Bob when it was on the agenda, and I'd say, Bob, and he'd have a highlight, list for me about, these are the issues that you should look out for and bring to the board's attention or the superintendent's attention. So, Bob, I couldn't have done half of what I was able to accomplish with respect to the construction stuff around here without your help. So thank you very much for all you did for me, too.
Likewise, Frank. I thought we made a pretty good team, and you made a big difference. You're one of those rare politicians that really goes the extra mile, so,
Call me a politician, but thank you.
well, at least you started out that way,
on
but
that.
you're very effective, and that's
Thank you.
that's why we were able to accomplish some things.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Hey, I have a couple comments. Please note in your packet the list of the meeting dates for next year. They're all set up for the entire year. I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and our next meeting is scheduled for December 13th. Is there any further business to come before the board? If not, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Before
make a
we,
motion.
before we adjourn,
Is there
I
a second?
apologize. Leandre here, before we adjourn,
Yes.
I just wanted to say on the status report, as one of the most outspoken and members of the audit committee, I am excited to read this report to know that the recommendations are followed through. And just to know there's only one in each category remaining. You go from 6 to 1, 5 to 1, 3 to 1. I am personally and professionally excited to read that and review it. Looking forward to exciting 24-25 work plan. I accept the motion I make that motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Pass unanimously, 5-0. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
All right.